Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Nika. Welcome back to my booktube channel Pretty Little Bibliophile, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all some amazing Asian inspired fantasy novellas and short stories which I am hoping that you'll enjoy a lot reading them. And in the meantime, you should definitely check out the first part of this video where I give you more such recommendation, Asian inspired or purely Asian book recommendations which are from different genres such as literary fiction, graphic novels, short stories, and so on. So without further ado, let's get started with today's video. Alright, the first books that I want to recommend you all are actually novellas, and they are from the Singing Hills cycle, which is written by Nghi. So far only 2 books are out and I've read both of them, and I'm going to definitely recommend both of them. The first one we have is The Empress of Salt and Fortune. Now I think before we dive right in and I tell you more about these books, I want to say that the protagonist of this series, the Singing Hills cycle, I would say is a non-binary person whose name is she, and it's very wonderful to see that aspect brought into all of these I would say myths and storytelling and all of that, and everything from the storytelling to the way that the stories are framed. Story framing is amazing. So let me first tell you about the book, well, rather a novella, The Empress of Salt and Fortune. A young royal from the far north is sent south for her political marriage in an empire reminiscent of imperial China. Her brothers are dead, her armies and their war mammoths long defeated and caged behind their borders. Alone and sometimes reviled, she must choose her allies carefully. Rabbit, a handmaiden sold by her parents to the palace for the lack of 5 baskets of dye, befriends the emperor's lonely new wife and gets more than she bargained for. At once feminist, high fantasy, and an indictment of monarchy, this evocative debut follows the rise of the Empress Nghi, who has few resources and fewer friends. She's a northern daughter in a mage-made summer exile, but she will bend history to her will and bring down her enemies piece by piece. So I have to say that I listened to this as an audiobook on Storytel, and the experience was really good. I really loved reading about the Empress Nghi's experience and how she is this newcomer, a foreigner into this land, because she marries a foreign emperor for a political marriage, like I just said. And it's really interesting to see her relationship with all the handmaidens around her, and her relationship particularly with the handmaiden Rabbit, who is also another main character of this novella, I would say. And then we also of course have Chi, who is sort of a monk who keeps records for the sake of all eternity, in simple language, I think. So yeah, this is the first book in the Singing Hills cycle which I listened to and I really loved, and I would definitely recommend you, since it's also a novella. It's very short, so if you want to delve into Asian inspired fantasy and fantasy in general, this is a good place to start with, because I think when you're a newcomer when it comes to fantasy, reading short stories, novellas, and standalones are the way to understand what sort of or what category of fantasy you personally like to read. So yeah, that's my first recommendation. Right, so the next story I would like to recommend you all is actually the second book in the Singing Hills cycle, which is When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, and this is amazing. Now both of these 2 books in the Singing Hills cycle have this format of a framing device, as in within the story someone is telling another story, so story within the story, which is done really well. And let me tell you, when this is done really well, the entire experience is just amazing. This is also another Storytel audiobook that I listened to, and I have to say that my experience was just really good. Now let me tell you what the book is about. The cleric Chi finds themselves and their companions at the mercy of a band of fierce tigers who ache with hunger. To stay alive until the mammoths can save them, she must outwit the intricate, layered story of the tiger and her scholar lover, a woman of courage, intelligence, and beauty, and discover how truth can survive becoming history. Nghi returns to the empire of the An and the Singing Hills cycle in this mesmerizing, lush, standalone follow-up to the Empress of Salt and Fortune. So yeah, both of these books were really amazing, and I'm actually looking forward to the other 3 books. I think there will be 5 books in total. I'm really looking forward to reading them all, but yeah, I don't think there's a date yet. But so far, you should definitely check out these two. Really short, but really amazing and immersive, you know, even within the short time frame. So yeah, that's my second recommendation for you all. Moving on, the next book I am going to recommend you all is just as amazing as the other two books I mentioned. I mean, all of the books that I'll be talking about in today's video are really amazing, and that's why I'm talking about them, obviously. So it is The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water by Zhen Cho. Now this was another audiobook. Once again, I listened to all of them as audiobooks, and all of them are available on Storytel if you're looking to listening to them as well. And this one has an amazing, you know, found family trope with a band of bandits, and I think it's done really well. Now let me tell you, Zhen Cho returns with a found family wuxia fantasy that combines the vibrancy of old school martial arts movies with characters drawn from the margins of history. A bandit walks into a coffee house and it all goes downhill from there. Wet Im, a young votary of the Order of the Pure Moon, joins up with an eclectic group of thieves, whether they like it or not, in order to protect a sacred object, and finds herself in a far more complicated situation than she could have ever imagined. Now, when it comes to the found family trope, this book does it really well, because obviously they are all very different. There is this, you know, a votary is, you can basically say that she is sort of a nun, a monk, and she is with this band of, you know, thieves. So I think the dynamic is done really well in that regard. And then within that, their banter is really good. It's funny, and it can make you get peeved at times because of the different character traits of all the different characters, and their journey as they, you know, try to protect the sacred object, how their goals were in the beginning and how they, you know, ended up being like. So I think it was done really well, this book, this novella, I would say, and I really enjoyed it. I think you will definitely like it. And on that note, I mean, you should definitely check it out, because the ending was just sort of unexpected and one I really enjoyed. So yeah, The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water is a must read. So the next two books that I'll be recommending you today are actually audiobooks, which are actually very short, not even 10 minutes each, I think. And they were really fun and, you know, interesting to see the innocence of kids and all of that. So the first one is Amy Wu and the Perfect Bao, and it's by Kat Zhang. Meet the funny, fierce and fearless Amy Wu, who is determined to make a perfect bao bun today. Can she rise to the occasion? Amy loves to make bao with her family, but it takes skill to make the bao taste and look delicious. And her bao keeps coming out all wrong. Then she has an idea that may give her a second chance. Will Amy ever get the perfect bao? Ever get to make the perfect bao? Now I have to say that, yeah, keeping in mind that this is a kid's book essentially, and it's actually a picture book, but I listened to it as an audiobook, and I have to say that my experience was really good with the audiobook as well. And the other book is the sequel to this one, and it is Amy Wu and the Patchwork Dragon, which I enjoyed just as much. Right, let me tell you what it's about. In this sweet and brightly illustrated picture book, Amy Wu must craft a dragon unlike any other to share with her class at school in this unforgettable follow-up to Amy Wu and the Perfect Bao. Amy loves craft time at school, but when her teacher asks everyone to make their own dragon, Amy feels stuck. Her first dragon has a long, wingless body, stag-like horns and eagle claws, but her friends don't think it's a real dragon. Then she makes dragons like theirs, but none of them feels quite right. None of them feels like hers. After school, a story from Grandma sparks new inspiration, and Amy rounds up her family to help her. Together, can they make Amy's perfect dragon? Now, you know, from the surface, they sound like, I don't know, kids' stories, you would say, but on the when you delve into the themes and all of that, it deals a lot with culture and everything like that. See, because Amy, for instance, is from I would say an Eastern culture. So the dragons of the East, you can see, you know, of Bhutan, China, the dragons that are depicted in the art drawn in Asia basically are very much different from the dragons that we see, you know, carved in the West. Right, so within that framework, I would say that Amy is where Amy is situated, because the dragons that she has grown up listening to stories about from her grandma are obviously from the East. I think she's Chinese, so the dragons that she knows are quite different to the dragons that our friends are drawing. So within that, you know, the cultural differences come, and how it is addressed within a kid-friendly environment was done really well. So yeah, these two books are also really short. Just like I said, they're not even 10 minutes each, and I really enjoyed them, and I would definitely recommend you to check them out. So that's it, guys. Those are all the 5 recommendations that I have to give you all today. I hope you check them out and let me know how you feel, because I think they're really you know, great books, and I think you will all enjoy them if you want to know more about the Eastern culture, and as well as, you know, delve into fantasy. So I would really definitely recommend them all based on my personal reading experience with them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already checked out the prequel to this video, the part 1, I'll link that up somewhere, you know, here, so that you can check it out and let me know your thoughts. If you want a follow-up, a part 3 to this video series, let me know what genre I should make it on. And yeah, so that's it. We have reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly had a lot of fun sharing these amazing books with you, and I hope you enjoyed them all. Take care. Peace out. Bye.